Oh, okay. Anybody there? Come in, come in. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Simon. Oh, now I'm getting feedback from somewhere. Oh, it's the stupid headphones I plugged in.
Oh,
no,
stupid headphones.
That's not it.
Oh, no, stupid headphones.
How do I stop that? Oh, let's see, who's here? Sandra, Simon, Science to Soul, Jen, Becca, Antonello, the fabulous fellow. I want to send a shout out to him. Everybody subscribe to Antonello, the fabulous fellow. He has a new channel with only a couple videos so far. Are you getting echo in my cast? I tried to put a little atmospheric music on in the background, but I don't know what's happening. I'm hearing myself echoing somewhere in the headphones. I don't know what's going on. Oh. Can everybody hear okay? Or is there a problem? Somebody let me know. Do you hear my voice twice? Okay. I'm still hearing my voice in my headphones, which I put on the floor, so I can sort of hear it distantly, but hopefully it's not bothering anybody else, and I don't know what's causing that. Anyway, here I am. It's October. It's Halloween, sort of, way early, but everybody else is doing Halloween as far back as September. So here we are. And first of all, anybody that has any questions or anything, make sure to put at Toadstool Tarot or put it in all caps. I guess everybody knows that by now. I don't know if you can hear the music. I put a little atmospheric music in the background. It's really low, but it's by Robin Guthrie and Harold Budd from two albums called After the Night Falls and Before the Day Breaks. And I love to listen to them in the autumn when I'm reading my H.P. Lovecraft stories, which, by the way, here's an old copy. I think this was probably out of print, but there's so many collections of his stories that might appeal to people that like creepy horror fiction. He was apparently not a very nice person, but he wrote a lot of stuff back in the 20s, like 100 years ago, and it's really, really creepy. Is Heather Carter there? Not yet. I think she's a Lovecraft fan. I mentioned I'm going to try not to go as long this month. I know it's a problem. Last month I ran way long because there was so much information I wanted to cover. And it was like, you know, all my Brits passed out and went to bed. I don't know what to do about this. I would really like to find a better time slot. So if everybody has suggestions for me, let me know, because I thought about possibly a weekend time slot. If anybody knows of a good one where my UK pals can tune in, but I don't leave June out of the loop out in Portland, Oregon. And that's kind of a broad spread there. I mean, I could maybe do an hour lead in to Simon's thing on Saturday, but that'd be from 10 to 11 here, and June would have to get up at 7 in the morning to tune in. So I don't know how she feels about that, but I don't see her today. And this time slot's not really great during the week. A lot of people still aren't in the US, aren't out of work yet. I don't see Donna. She might be out slopping the pigs or something. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Lots of hellos and greetings. Thanks for my moderators that are here. I'm going to try and find... Can't do Saturdays. Sandra can't do Saturdays. Well, leave me notes in the chat or in the comments below if you can, or on Facebook. I'm going to try and accommodate everybody the best that I can. I only do this once a month, but I mean, if I run longer than an hour, then my Brits run off to sleep, and it only gives a few minutes for the US people to come in. So choose a time and stick to it. Those that can come will come. Those who can't will catch up. Yeah. The point is, I would like to do a live where everybody can participate in the chat room, because I can always do the pre-recorded ones and read the comments later. But anyway. So last month I mentioned that I had got a deck I wanted to do a walkthrough I was saving for this month. It's called the Dark Grimoire Tarot. And it's featured, it basically is inspired by H.P. Lovecraft stories. It says on here, it's a Lo Scarabeo deck. It says inspired by the Necronomicon, Necronomicon. And I thought, inspired, that's not a word, is it? And I looked it up, and it's actually in the Urban Dictionary, and it means inspired by an idea when you're drunk. So apparently whoever did this deck got really inspired when they were drunk to go to use H.P. Lovecraft stories as source material. And then Necronomicon is a fictional grimoire apparently come up with by H.P. Lovecraft and used extensively in his short stories. That is the front. That is the back. As usual with Lo Scarabeo, you know, you have their little book, little white book, which I don't think it says very much about this particular. It's your typical stuff. These are the backs of the cards, which are a portrait of Lovecraft. Beautiful design, I think, and typical Scarabeo cardstock. By the way, this is a portrait of Lovecraft inside that book. Kind of a creepy looking guy. What better to write creepy stories? So let's go through the deck. That's the Fool, the Magician. I really like the color palette in this deck. It's kind of like burnt embers. It's almost black and white with a kind of an orange glow, fiery glow. That's the Empress, the Emperor. The Hierophant. The Lovers. This deck is moody to the extreme. The Chariot. Look at the glowing red eyes on the horses. This is Justice with some sort of a pagan idol and a voodoo doll. That's the Hermit. I love him at his study, his private study in a dimly lit room. The Wheel, disciples around a wheel. Strength with an enormous beast. Here's the Hanged Man hanging by a noose. This may be the closest I have to a Halloween deck. I mean, it's not really Halloween, but it is dark and creepy for this type of year. Spring, well, extremely dark deck. It wouldn't be for everyone. I agree. It's perfect for Lovecraft fans, though, I think. Or maybe for shadow work. I still don't quite know what the concept of that is. Isn't that a beauty? That's the moon, of course. Beautiful dark moon. The sun. Not a very bright, happy sun. Judgment. Well, there's a little bit of a dim rainbow with some kind of monolith coming up out of the clouds. The world. Her world. Oh, this is the Ace of Chalices. I hope you can hear me over the music. It's so low in here, but I did a little test with Photo Booth and it seemed like it came out substantially loud, and it's a moody kind of music that I like for his stories and this imagery. This is a 7 of Chalices. No, Simon, it's not my music. It's by Robin Guthrie and Harold Budd. You might remember Robin Guthrie. He was half of Cocteau Twins back in the 80s. And Harold Budd did a lot of atmospheric piano music on Eno's ambient label. A lot of his stuff sort of sounds like a piano played at the bottom of the ocean. Ooh, this is the knave of chalices. The knight. Hello, Maharet. Okay, now we have the Ace of Pentacles, which seems to be, the pentacles seem to be, well, not, I was going to say the Grimoire books, but it looks like not all of them are. Oh, some of them are. Is there a book in there? No. But there is in this one, the Four of Pentacles. I love this deathly figure clutching onto his grimoire. If you know of a creepier deck than this, let me know. Perfect for the dark months and dark modes. Of course, you might need something cheery like the what's that one, Becca? What's the name of that one that you just got that was so bright and cheery? Might need something like that to dig you out of this mood hole after working with this dark deck. What's it called? The arbitrators or inquisitators or terminators or something? Affirmators. Thank you. Yes, you need something affirming after this darkness. I went overboard with my shopping last month, and I think I'm all caught up now. At the very tail end of my shopping, I did get the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. I couldn't resist. I've done a walkthrough on that one already. And now the only thing I have left I'm waiting for is the Abandoned Oracle from Patrick Valenza, which I'm hoping will come in by the end of October, which is when it's been rescheduled for. Nothing else on my waiting list. But I don't know if you shoppers are like me. I've only used about 2 or 3 of the last 7 or 8 decks I've bought. It's like a kid on Christmas morning with too many toys to play with and not enough time to play with them all. Even though I'm retired, it just seems like I don't spend enough time with them. And I get a deck that I like, and Madame Lydia Wilhelmina's Tarot of Monsters, the Macabre and Autumn Scenes is creepy deck, Robin. Okay, I'll look into that. The Necronomicon Tarot. Well, I did do an earlier deck, with Lovecraft imagery Where the heck is it? Oh. Wrong deck. The Azathoth Tarot, which I don't know if any of you saw my walkthrough on that. That one I like. It's a beautiful monochrome deck with yellow and black images, very fine line work. And that one's based on Lovecraft as well. Very, very detailed line work. That's the King of Wands. Sorry, I haven't been keeping up with the names, but I'm sure you all can figure it out. Ace of Swords. I don't know why that's a sword. Oh, I guess the aces are all books, maybe, because this is the Dark Grimoire, so the aces are grimoires. Two of Swords. This is interesting. A blindfolded man playing a haunting violin on a little pedestal with monsters below. Despite the imagery, whether you do or don't like the imagery, I'm wondering what you feel about the color palette in this deck. I want to say it's almost like sepia tone, except it's not really. It's almost like black and white charcoal images with a kind of a faint orange cast or glow to it. Ooh, this was a creepy one. Eight of Swords. A cyclopean monster with someone captured in a jar. And look at this Nine of Swords. This horrific mirror confrontation. If you've read any of, you don't have to read Lovecraft stories, but if you have read any of them, these images will bring a lot of those stories to life, and you may even recognize some of the stories or characters in these images. And if you haven't read him, these images might keep you from wanting to read him. And this is the last one, the King of Swords. Oh, it's the king where it looks like his octopus-like character Cthulhu wearing a human mask and holding a human head in one hand, while his little sidekick imp sits at his side. So that is the Dark Grimoire Tarot from Lo Scarabeo. And I won't show you all of this, but I'll show you a couple of cards from the Azathoth Tarot, which makes me wonder, because Thoth is in the title, whether this relates to a Thoth deck or not. I think this is the 7th or something edition of this. Nice back. It's the only time you'll see red. And you can see the elaborate line work on this. If anybody has a particular card from this deck they'd like to see, there's the Hermit. These are larger than usual cards. The one I showed you previously is a typical tarot size. Let's see. Any questions for me so far? I've only seen a couple comments directed towards me from Simon. So don't forget to highlight Toadstool Tarot if you want to ask me something, or put it in caps. I don't see anything in caps. So we'll press on, I guess. Nobody wants to see anything else from this deck, I guess. Sandra used to have this deck years ago, first or second edition. Yeah, to tell you the truth, Sandra, I fell in love with it at first because I liked the detail, but I haven't worked with it at all, and I've had it for 2 or 3 months. I don't know how scarce it is. It's an indie deck. I'll probably hang on to it just because it's so unusual, but I don't know whether I'll work with it or not. Remains to be seen. It doesn't look like an easy to work with deck. I'll probably do a little easier with this Dark Grimoire Tarot. And let's see, what else is on my topic list? Oh, Halloween movie favorites. I want to recommend 2 Halloween movie favorites. Now, some of you may be too young to appreciate black and white movies. I love old atmospheric black and white horror movies. And the 2 on my list, which everybody should be able to find streaming somewhere, one is called The Curse of the Demon, and it was also released in the UK under the name The Night of the Demon. I think it's from the 50s. It stars Dana Andrews. And the interesting feature in Curse of the Demon, there's 3 actually. It has, there's references to runes in it. There is an Aleister Crowley type character, witch character. And there is a seance scene in it. So that's really fun. The other one is from, I believe, the 40s, called The Uninvited with Ray Milland. And that one has not only a haunted house with ghost apparitions in it, but there's also a seance scene in it and a spirit board. So, yeah, those are really fun to watch. How am I getting on with the RWS 2.0? I'm loving it. I'm not selling enough people on it. I don't know how many people, Dana Andrews said Prunes gave him the runes and passing them used lots of skill. You mean the runs? I'm loving the RWS 2.0. And if you haven't checked out my walkthrough and anybody wants to see any of the cards from it, here are the backs. It's an indie deck and it's at makeplayingcards.com. I really love the cardstock on it. It's really slippery. And I don't think these are plastic, but they almost feel like plastic. And I've gotten used to the fonts underneath. I've grown to love that font now, and the copyright doesn't bother me. All the cards bleed out off the edge beyond the borders, so it's almost like it's been edged already, because I can't give you a good look there, but each card has its own kind of color scheme to it. Like, oh, look at the Two of Swords. See the background in there, how there's like radiating ripples of sky? Carol Hertzer decks. I don't know Carol Hertzer decks. But this one, for anybody into sharp line work, I have yet to see any line work sharper than this. These are supposedly vectorized images, and I'm seeing stuff in these cards that I never saw before in any other RWS deck, in the details. And it has that kind of moody, sort of atmospheric, almost three-dimensional quality to it that the Radiant Wise Spirit does, sort of. The skies are really moody. And is there any card from here that anybody would like to see? Antonella bought it and he's waiting for it. It should take about 2 weeks. They're pretty fast. Actually, it came about 4 days earlier than they predicted on the order page. So if they tell you when to expect it, you'll probably get Temperance. Okay, Simon, Temperance card. Your wish is granted. All right, this one is not as dramatic color-wise, but the line work, and I don't know if you can see, my hands are so damn shaky. If you can see every feather in those wings, it is so sharp. Is that focusing? I don't know. And also the flowers in the garden have been recolored. I can't remember what those were they irises or lilies? They might be white in the other deck. Here they're sort of red and violet or something. Yes, the wings are beautiful. Hello, Gomez. Any other card requests here on these before I put this aside? Check this out. And the strength is pretty good. I'll pull out the most dramatic ones. The Seven of Cups is very dark, but makes the cups really pop. Oh, there was an odd thing. Oh, and this one. Oh my God. Look at that night sky. I love this one too. Look at that sky. You can almost see the clouds rolling. Ooh. It almost has a holographic effect, but that's just the way it's painted. The one thing I did notice later, if I can find the Hermit card, some of you might not like this. Well, while I'm here, here's the Hanged Man. I'm not crazy about this Hanged Man card because, I mean, the background is beautiful, that kind of like burst, but it's pretty dark. I think I'd have preferred a lighter, brighter color behind him. But I wanted to show you the Hermit, if I can find it. That was one that took a liberty that I'm not sure people will object to. And I didn't realize it until I did a side-by-side with the AGM Tarot of A.E. Waite, which, by the way, this is sharper than that deck. And that's my sharpest deck so far in terms of line work. Come on, where are you, Hermit? Oh, practically at the bottom of the pile, of course. Okay, look. The Hermit has a full moon in the sky behind him, which all the other Rider-Waite decks don't have. So I don't know if that's going to bother some people. It doesn't bother me, but, you know, adds a little extra symbolism to it that some people might take issue with. Anyway, I can't recommend this enough. It doesn't come with a box. It's just shrink wrapped, and there's no guidebook or anything. But I think it was $26. And I didn't know what I was going to get. I ordered 2 decks at the same time. And actually, of the 2, I'm happier with this one. The other one was my first Majors Only deck. That was the Kalma Tarot, which I don't know if you saw my walkthrough. It has this lovely knocker box, but this beautiful back on it has nothing to do with the deck. It's a Majors Only deck, and I wasn't going to order it, but I really love the images. And with shipping, it was like $65, which some of you I know have spent more on decks, but this is a Majors Only deck. And I wondered whether I could work with the Majors Only deck when I ordered it. And I was delving into Marseille at the time, and I've been seeing a lot of YouTube clips of people that just kind of set the minors aside and only work with the majors in the Marseille. So I thought, okay, well, let me try that a little while, see how that works. And I decided, I gave in, the money was burning a hole in my pocket. I had to have these images. So I went ahead and I ordered it. I love the images. It's sort of problematic, though, only dealing with 22 cards. It's like really kind of hard to shuffle just 22 cards. But I tell you, the Wheel of Fortune has always been a card I don't really like much. It's sort of an ugly card, I think. But this is the best Wheel of Fortune card I have ever seen. I really love this. I don't know if you can see the monkey tied to the wheel and then a hare on the back. And there's a little imp sitting in the crown on the top of the table housing the wheel. This is another deck that the images look, oh, this was the tower I loved too. It's a beautiful tower card, I think. And these are borderless and numberless and labelless, which I love. I just kind of wish it had been a 78 card deck instead of a Majors Only one. It looks antique-y, and I do have a little reservation with this because I know I complained in the Radiant Wise Spirit deck of them throwing a dirt filter on things and the same dirt appearing in the same spot on different cards. And on this one, I don't know if you can see, there's the same dirty smudge marks in the bottom and top opposite corners on every one of these cards. It's like, please, I don't mind a fake dirty effect, but, don't have it look exactly the same on every card. Try and remedy that somehow. Somebody wants to see, Jen wants to see the Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups in which deck, Jen? Because if you're talking about the Kalma deck, this is a majors only. There's no Eight of Cups. And I think I did show the Eight of Cups in the RWS. The 2.0. Okay. Oh no, that was the Seven of Cups, wasn't it? The 2.0. Have I still got Becca, or has she fallen asleep? Bear with, as Simon and Becca say. Of course, I've shuffled these, so it's a little harder to find. Probably near the bottom of the deck again. Come on. Of course. About 6 cards from the bottom. There you go. Becca's still with us. Hello, Mabel. Hello, Louie. Did I wake them up? Looks like an old sewing machine at first glance, the wheel, Maharet. That's from the Kalma deck. Let's see. Any more questions? Four of Wands. I'm sorry, I should have put these in order beforehand. It would make it a little faster. Talk amongst yourselves. Simon wants the Four of Wands. Maybe I should start from the bottom first. Oh, here we go. It's pretty. I knew it, Simon. You have to have this. Put it in your October or November budget. I can't wait for you to do a walkthrough on this, Simon. I want to know what you have to say about every single card. Antonello says, yeah, the font is the only thing I don't like, but I can forgive it. The things I didn't like at first, besides the odd coloring of a couple cards like the Hangman, was the font at the bottom, the copyright, and the bands are in different pale pastel colors. Now the font I've gotten used to. It's an italic script. It's easy to read. I don't know. I got over it. The copyright, unlike US games, because the coloration of the cards goes right off the edge of the border, the copyright is kind of camouflaged a little bit in the color, so it's not as blatantly in your face. The color bands I'm getting used to too. The majors are a faint purple. The pentacles are a pale mint green. The cups are kind of a bluish gray. The wands are sort of a pale pink, and the swords are sort of a bone yellow kind of. Where are we now? Becca's alive and kicking. I hope she's not kicking the dogs. They are what? Fast asleep. Oh, the dogs are fast asleep. What else is left? How far along are we? Oh, we're 45 minutes in. I don't have too much left unless anybody wants to see anything else. I did quick little review of the past few decks that I got. Besides the Kalma and the RWS 2.0, I also got finally the Trionfi della Luna, which is so old everybody knows about it already, and I really like the coloring on it, and this sort of works for me as a Halloween deck. And the only thing that kept me from getting this to begin with is that it was a Marseille deck, and at the time I wasn't doing Marseille, but it is a very pretty Marseille. I have 3 Marseille decks now. That one, then I got the Universal Tarot of Marseille from Lo Scarabeo, and this one I got because well, the backs are pretty, and I like the coloration. Instead of like white backgrounds, there's a kind of an ombre effect on the colors. Look at the pretty green in the back. It's sort of a wash almost like a marble effect, like marble stone cloud work or something on the swords. It's like a marble blue. It's pretty coloring. So I have those 2, and then the first one that I got was, people are telling me, not strictly speaking, a Marseille deck, which is the Seventh Sphere Tarot, which is the best box I've got. I love these little magnetic boxes. What can be better? Now that I've lived with this a while, I've worked with it a little bit, and I like it. The only drawback for me about this deck is the card stock. These are plastic cards. It's the only plastic deck I have, and they are so flimsy that and slippery as hell. Slippery as snot, as Donna would say. And they're kind of hard to shuffle. I mean, you get a lot of jumpers with this deck. But I do love the coloring on the cards and the beautiful, beautiful pastel coloring on these miners. I did look at their Oracle and considered getting it, but I think there was one card in the deck that I didn't like the coloring on. Had a kind of a rainbow palette that didn't seem to fit, and now I don't remember which one it was. But yeah. Actually, this Wheel of Fortune I don't mind either. I don't like the RWS Wheel of Fortune or most others that I've seen. Although I do like the one in the Everyday Witch. Oh, there's some pentacles. Yeah, I was just kind of blown away by the coloring and the beauty and the design of these miners, which is why I caved and bought this deck. Marg, hello Marg. Marg says, my Goddess Tarot feels like it's covered in baby oil. Simon says he needs to check the vote. I checked earlier, I think it was 64% for Everyday Witch. It may have changed since then. Let's see. Simon says it's a pip deck. Well, yeah, I guess people are really strict about the difference between a pip deck and a Marseille deck, although these look like the pips are laid out like Marseille. But I guess they don't have all the little plant foliage and stuff in there. Which from all the videos I've seen, it seems like people are going to great length to read a hell of a lot into plants pointing one way or another, and I'm just not sure about reading Marseille. It seems like some people are kind of making it up as they go, but all right, never mind me. Oh, I forgot to show you, besides my disciple robe, look at my t-shirt. Can you see? It's Bigfoot. Simon, do you have a Bigfoot t-shirt? I also have a Yeti with white fur on a blue night sky background that I like to wear that in January or February. This is a Bigfoot in the forest in browns. Strangely not. Uh-oh. 61%, Simon. It's losing ground. I hope we get it because I want to see your walkthrough on that and your latest reactions to it and other people's reactions. And if we don't get it this week, it'll disappear. We won't get another chance. I do think, though, when the vote is within 8 points of one another, you should do them 2 weeks in a row. If it's a wider gap, then shelve it and move on. But have there been any Bigfoot sightings in New York City? There's some tall people with some pretty big feet, but no Bigfoot. Let's have some questions, folks. Otherwise, I have one more unboxing. A Halloween unboxing. Marshmallow Peeps, Pumpkin Peeps. Oh, I didn't see anybody mention favorite Halloween movies. Or maybe you have favorite Halloween candies. I almost bought the candy corns at the grocery today, but I wanted the variety pack that has like the little pumpkins and other stuff in it, and they didn't have them. They only had corn. My place looks like an ASMR ambient video. Love it. Thank you. I'm not quite sure what that means. Sleepy Hollow. Oh, the movie Sleepy Hollow? The one with Johnny Depp? Or Blair Witch? Yeah, you young folks, you like the colored, more recent ones. I love the atmospheric older ones. I don't know whether you'd be bored by my recommendations or not. They're heavily atmospheric and dark. Are you reading any books currently? Yes, actually, Heather Foley. At the moment, I just finished the Marseille Tarot Revealed. And because I knew I was going to do the Dark Grimoire walkthrough today, I picked up on my Kindle my collection of Lovecraft stories. So I started reading that again. But I'm also still slogging through Wilkie Collins' The Moonstone. Actually, I really love this series. I've never been able to get through classics, but I love these hand-size hardcover books, gilt-edged, with a little fancy little ribbon, hardcover. It's called the Collector's Library, and they used to be available here in New York through Barnes and Noble, but I think I can only get them from the UK now. An imprint of CRW from London, Collector's Library. And I've been reading, I have a whole bookshelf of these now. They're wonderful. Besides, Frankenstein and Dracula that I'd never read, I have like all the Jane Austen. I started off with all the Sherlock Holmes ones. And I can't see from here what else I've got. But I've been through a bunch of them, and I just love collecting these. And the nice thing about them is there's not, it might look like a lot, there's not that many words on a page, so they're like page turners. And I love a book that you can hold open with one hand without hurting your hand. The binding is really nice. And the pages are thin, they're like Bible pages, the paper's so fine. Beautiful stuff. So yeah, do a Google search or an Amazon search for Collector's Library and see what books they have in their collection. I think I also got Peter Pan, but I haven't slogged through that one. They have a really good Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, I think, together in one book, and a Grimm's Fairy Tales, and I can't think of the others that I have. Oh, there's an Edgar Allan Poe collection I have. Heather just read Fahrenheit 451. Marg Richter, I have to check the TCM website. Thanks. No, Marg, I don't have TCM because it's just above the level of subscription that I have for cable. It costs me more. And I do have Netflix and I have YouTube. So I don't know, on TCM, can you watch whatever movies they have in their collection? I don't know, or you just have to wait and see when they come on. She loves Vincent Price too. I just watched a Vincent Price movie the other night, Return of the Fly. And actually tomorrow, Tuesday, on one of the local channels here, it's Vincent Price Day. I think it's Me TV, which is out of New Jersey, which isn't going to help anybody except people in this area. TCM doesn't cost more in Alberta. You're in Alberta, Marg. Yes, The Fly. This was actually the sequel to The Fly, but very similar. Real creepy stuff in it. Maharet likes Rocky Horror, Sleepy Hollow, and Sweeney Todd. Simon likes Halloween, 1979. Becca is the queen of scary movies. Becca, what do you like? I haven't seen a posting from Becca. Does anybody have any Halloween candy? I'm going to have a marshmallow peep. We're almost at an hour, 59 minutes and 17 seconds. So unless anybody else has anything they want to know about or want to say, I might sign off near the hour mark. Perfect candy for a diabetic like me. I know I'm not supposed to. The Conjuring is Becca's favorite. I think that might be too scary for me, Becca. That's funny. When I was a kid growing up, all the old movies were so scary. Now they're so bland compared to what's come since. The new ones, even as far back as the late 70s and 80s, stuff like Alien and The Thing, I tell you, those movies raise my blood pressure, and I get a physical fever from watching horror movies. I don't know if that's the empathic part of me or not, but it's terrible. When I would rent them, it's the only way I could see them. I would have to fast forward through to see what was coming and then go back and watch them, because I hate when stuff jumps out of nowhere and scares the crap out of you, or when the volume shoots from 0 to hundreds of decibels. It's good for me. What's good for me? Being scared? I'm not so sure. And I don't know. Also, if I need to see really gory stuff, like all that blood and guts and gore that came in the 60s, I mean in the 70s and 80s. I watched The Fly September 6th along with them. I love them. Kind of stupid looking monsters, but I love the drama of it, and the whole thing set in the desert, and the sound effects and everything. Gomez Adams: can't handle being startled because of PTSD situations in my life. I get that. Becca says, gets your heart going. Honey, I don't need that to get my heart going. Conjuring one is Amityville, right? Is it? I get Conjuring and what's the one with the doll? Not Chucky, the woman, the girl doll. And I've only seen clips of them. I don't know if I can watch all the way through those. It's just too creepy. Annabelle, ugh. Too creepy, scary. Like, and that one with the nun, the creepy nun. They showed, I recorded the other night, they showed a couple of Hammer movies that they technicolorized with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. I think like Horror of Dracula and something Frankenstein. The Bad Seed. I'm not a big fan of The Bad Seed, but I know what you mean. That's one of the things I like about old Hitchcock movies. They're very suggestive without being like blatantly horrific. Simon was bored by the nun. He struggled to stay awake. Movie recommendations. Heather Foley wants movie recommendations. Any questions? I remember from, I think, my first live, Simon asked me about this picture on the wall. So I'll tell him about that. I worked for a third of a century in a bookstore, the biggest, most famous used bookstore in the city. And one of my friends there was this guy named Ron Bachman, who was an artist and a photographer. And he did huge paintings, but he also did photographs, small photographs that he blew up because he couldn't afford photographic paper prints that large. He had them blown up at copy places. And this was a portrait of one of our coworker friends. And it's a very atmospheric picture, which I like. Ron was a very unusual guy. He came to work at the store back in the early 80s. And one thing I remembered most about him, a very unusual and eccentric character, when he first came to work, he had bleached hair, bleached white, and his eyebrows were drawn on with blue magic marker. Luckily, our boss was open to all kinds of eccentric characters working in the bookstore. And he was definitely an eccentric artist. But you gotta love somebody who uses blue magic marker for eyebrow pencil. Horror Hotel 1962 is a Hammer film. I'm actually not real big on the Hammer movies, but I mean, they're sort of fun to see now. I always thought they were kind of cheesy, but I tend to prefer the 40s and 50s atmospheric horror. Like, oh, did you ever see The Spiral Staircase? That's more of like a horror murder thing, but it is really creepy. And Elsa Lanchester is really hysterically funny in it. And it's about this dumb woman. You know, she can't speak. She was traumatized and she lost her voice. And she works in a mansion where there in the area there is a psychotic killer that preys on young women that are infirmed in some way, like a girl with a limp gets murdered, and well, I shouldn't tell you who all gets murdered, but it's really good. And Ethel Barrymore is in it. Child's Play. Jen says, I watched Child's Play when I was about 8. Don't know what the fuck my parents were thinking letting me watch at that age. Is anybody going to go see the new animated Addams Family movie? I don't go to the movies anymore, but I definitely will watch that when it's streamable or rentable. Reason I don't go to the movies anymore is A, they're too expensive. B, you've got to schedule your whole world around ticket buying, waiting in line, making a date to go to the theater. C, when you go, the people in the audience don't behave like they did in the old days. They're, texting on their phones, rattling their, candy wrappers and munchies. And I just can't hack it anymore. Oh, and 4, there's no bathroom breaks. When you get to my age, you need bathroom breaks every, couple hours, sometimes sooner. So yeah, I mostly just rent and stream them now. Oh, we're at 108. Who's the Addams Family purist? Gomez Addams Family purist. Well, this new cartoon looks like it's based on the original Charles Addams type images, which I love those books too. I mean, when you say purist, I hope you don't mean the movies that came in the 80s and 90s, because that's not purist in my opinion. And in fact, even the TV show in the 60s wasn't purist if you look at those cartoons. But this looks like it's closer to the Charles Addams illustrations. All right, it's 1:09. Simon is still wide awake. I suspect that I haven't seen Sandra comment in a while. I expect that maybe she and Becca are nodding off. So any last thoughts? Sandra's still there. I'm surprised we didn't hear from Donna today. Anybody who wants to moderate for me in the States, send me a note, because I think I only have 4 mods, and I don't even know if I can have more than that. I might change some of you out to give my Brits a chance to rest, because I have Sandra, Simon, and Becca very kindly accommodating me, and Donna. So it'd be nice to have some other mod in the States or Canada, or a later time zone. We're now after 5, and so people are be getting off of work here about now, in about an hour out west. And you know what? I think I covered everything this month that I said. I didn't want to bore you or go on too long. I know last month everybody dropped off with all of my reading from books on wands and wanding, and so check out my walkthroughs, and check out Antonello the Fabulous Fellows site, channel, and if there's no more comments or questions, anything else? We didn't see Tangi today either. This might be early for her. All right. I think this might be the last song on these 2 albums too. So yeah, I'm going to let you go, and thank you so much, everybody, for showing up for my October live. And one other deck I didn't show you is the I Ching cards, which I didn't get too many comments on, but it's not strictly speaking a tarot deck. It's an older divination. These are like sort of black and white Asian watercolors. You can see these in my walkthrough if you want. Simon, I am so glad I twisted your arm out of its joints to buy the RWS 2.0. I know it's tough on a budget, but I don't think you're going to regret it. I really don't. Good night, Sandra. Good night, Simon. And Maharet. Gomez. Thank you, Gomez, for telling everybody to hit the like button on your way out. Heather Foley, Marg, Science to Soul. I can't see if anybody else is still here, but thank you all for coming. And I'll see you first Monday in November, unless I find a good weekend slot. If anybody knows of a good weekend slot that doesn't conflict with anybody else's live, let me know, particularly, the UK people, if there's a good time for you. Okay, goodbye, everybody, and I'll see you next month.